the Media and Publications Officer at KEFSA, which is the Pharmacy Students Association of Kenya. Yeah, so we're glad to have you guys tonight for the 3rd edition of Ryculture Ladies Talk. So tonight we clearly have a different guest because every 2 weeks it's a different guest, and I'm sure you guys have been learning a lot and been enjoying. So I'd like to welcome tonight's guest to kindly introduce herself.
Thank you very much, Stacey. My name is Dr. Mugambi Joy. I am a family physician and I currently work in Baringo, Eldama Ravine. And I am also patron of the Medical Students Association of Kenya. I am the chair, Nakuru Division KMA, and within Africa, I am the secretary. What we call WONCA Africa. WONCA stands for the World Organization for Family Physicians. So we have 7 regions, and I am the secretary within the Africa region. Within the Africa region, I also sit as the vice chair, Commonwealth Medical Association, which is an organization that brings in Commonwealth associations within the regions where British colonies were, but now bringing together the associations within those regions in order to discuss and dialogue and feedback to the Commonwealth Association internationally. So I am the vice president of East, Central, and South Africa region, and I am glad to be here with you.
We're absolutely grateful for you accepting to come on here tonight. So just to kind of like break the ice with also the audience, I'd like to start by asking you about your personal life. So if you don't mind, you can tell us about how it was growing up. Maybe are you the firstborn, lastborn? Yes, and then from there we'll progress.
Thank you very much, Stacey. I am from Meru. I grew up in a place next to Kemu. Kemu was my playground, and before it became a university, it was a big forest. So growing up in Meru, I went to one of the Catholic schools, then on to a high school back in Meru, and qualified to go to college. So I did not start off with a degree in medicine. I started off as a clinical officer. I did a diploma. I always say my failures are my successes. I didn't do very well in high school, and so I had to pick out a course that really had to get me through a diploma. I was really excited to do food science, and I had applied to join Utalii and got my admission. But my parents had a different plan. With my mother was a nurse and my dad was a hotelier, and for me, I felt hotel business was something I really wanted to take up. My mom would be at work late at night. During those years when we were young, we saw the cholera epidemics and them going out for those outreaches and staying away from home for months and months. And I really didn't think I was cut for medicine. So my mom knows better. She felt I should join medicine. Hotel business was not something that was for the girls, and neither was it a business for me to take up. Everyone had to take a profession. So they encouraged me. My mom applied for me to get into KMCC. I went Shingo Pande, joined School of Clinical Medicine in Portris, and I got to like medicine. First year was quite rough. I had not really focused on doing what I was doing, and I had hoped I would fail in medicine and refocus back into hotel industry. But I did my first term, yes. But from there, a real good discussion with my college principal led me to really focusing on to what I'm doing, and I got to like medicine. And from there, I graduated from School of Clinical Medicine in Port Reitz, Mombasa. Got posted to Kiambu District Hospital at a time when there was a lot of strikes, and the medical officers had downed their tools, the nurses had downed their tools, but we managed to complete our internship. Post internship, I felt I needed to join the private sector and see if I could um, do something different rather than be in the government by then. So I joined Maristo, worked not for long actually, I just did 6 months and decided I could do medicine. So I went out picking where I could apply for medicine, tried Nairobi. Nairobi said they never admitted clinical officers to do medicine, and tried Moi, same thing. So Kenya was impossible. So I decided, let me try, reach out and apply within East Africa. And I managed to go out to Tanzania, Dar es Salaam. Yes, it was not easy even getting out. We needed money to get into college because this was private college. I tried what I had earned, saved a bit. Then my um, family also did a lot of contribution in the community where I've grown up, back in Meru, in my village. They are people I admire, and really they are my strength. So I ended up in Tanzania and did my undergraduate, yes, with struggles here and there financially, but I finally completed it. Came back to Kenya where we had to sit our board exam in order to be certified. Completed that, did my internship in Nakuru and worked for a while. Then I decided, let me move on and do a master's. I was really passionate about obstetrics. I had graduated during my undergraduate. I was the best in obstetrics, and I really, really wanted to pursue obstetrics and gynecology. But during my work years as an intern, I had done well when we were rotating in the medicine department, pediatrics, all rounded, and family medicine was starting in more university. They had come round. So when I did my application, my medical superintendent said, "No, I think you'll do better if you apply for family medicine." I told him no. Uh, but fate had it. After a lot of discussions with my medical superintendent, one of our senior pediatrics department consultants, Dr. Mogo, who's still in Nakuru town, they felt that I had strength to run along with family medicine, and I don't regret having applied for family medicine because yes, I think I am really an all-rounder, not really a specific specialty, but I enjoy what I do in terms of family medicine. So I joined the family medicine as one of the first females in family medicine at Moi and graduated uh, along with the many men who we were with in family medicine. And I really owe them gratitude because working with them was inspirational. They never thought of me as the female in the team. We worked as friends and we supported each other all through until we graduated, and we are still real good friends within our class was actually the largest. We were six, with me being the only female, and the previous classes that had come in had not had anyone. So basically, that's my professional journey. I am now taking master's in bioethics. I have an awesome team. in our master's program, which encompasses inclusive of pastors and lawyers and my colleagues and family mates. And we are enjoying the journey in terms of career development. Thanks, Casey.
So just to take you back a bit, when you mentioned that you had worked in the public sector, you had a stint in the public sector. So how was the experience for you? Did you enjoy it back then? Were the resources limited or were they much more than now? And what made you make the switch to private?
The reason why, okay, working in public sector as a clinical officer at that time, we were many clinical officers, but we were the last class that ended up being employed automatically. So post that, the next year when now we started working as clinical officers within the hospital, we had so many limitations. One, human resource. Two, even our financial income within the government. I was earning 7,000 shillings working in Kiambu, living in a place where, yeah, you can imagine with 7,000 shillings what you would do. As much as someone would say those years were then, that was very little money. And as compared to what you would get in the private sector, which was more, with more organized structures, available drugs, available testing capabilities, I felt I needed to move and grow in terms of what I know in terms of practice and also financially, because yes, I really wanted to get back to school and do something different, not just a higher diploma.
Then from there you had mentioned that you went to Tanzania. So you had also mentioned about the financial complications at first, but before that, I'd like to know, how was it trying to convince your family? Were they hesitant to you moving to Tanzania? Because definitely this is to a whole different country, not just a different city in Kenya, but a different country. You're far away from your family. How was the response on your family side for announcing that you're going to go to Tanzania?
I think what I'd say is my family has been my best support ever. I owe them my success, beginning with my mom, my dad, and my brother, our eldest brother, and my sister. She's older than me. Now I know I support my younger sister. She's not little anymore. We are all above 30, and we are not young people anymore. So for her, it's for all of them, they were such great support. I remember telling them, I know I'm not financially well now. I can defer this and come back to do it the next year when I've made at least money for 1 year. And my family told me, opportunities don't come twice. Take it, run with it. It's up to us to now struggle for the next 5 years when you're in college, and then now we will be able to know how we will sort you out. But take the opportunity and run with it. Next year, something else may come and distract you. So it was great that they supported me.
I really love it's not that common to find that there are families that are that supportive. Like for what I'm getting is that you didn't even have to convince them, like they were the pushing factor for you to even go to Tanzania. But for now, people who not many people have supportive families like that, how would you best advise them to probably on approaching their family on going abroad for further studies or opportunities?
What I would say is you've got to give your family purpose of where you're going, because most of the times, alongside during my years, I had relatives who had left and gone abroad and not come back. neither did they show any output of what they had gone to do out there. So it basically starts with sincere, being sincere as a person. What are you going to do out there? Is it going to be of benefit to you as a person first, and to your family as a family? Because you've got to tell your point to them and give them purpose, and then don't put pressure, and also bring your investment package. Because when we talked with my family, I had what I had saved, I had what I could sell, and I remember when I joined, when I started as a clinical officer, there was Afia Circle. Many young doctors need to join a circle, and circles really do help a lot, because this is your investment. It's always there. You can tap on it whenever you need it. And my investments within my Afia circle took me to school, and they pushed me for a while, as my family was also sourcing extra in order for me to move along. And network, your community, where you grew up. We live in our homes, we lock ourselves out. Growing up, I helped the neighbors farm. I helped, there was some very old lady who was our neighbor. I really supported her as we grew up. We would come back home, we fetch for them water. Those are people who never gave up on me. So what are your networks, and are they your networks? So you need to invest on also engaging your networks from the very community level to even your friends around you.
I really like the aspect that you brought out about also coming up with your own investment, because now that was meant to be the next topic. The next question rather. So have some money, put it in a circle, and then from there gain some interest, and then now from there, this is what you can present to your family as the starting point of you going abroad. Of your future plans rather. Then sorry, I wanted to ask, how did you land on deciding to get into OBGYN, obstetrics, that word. How did you find, like, what was that trigger moment for you that this is what I want to get into?
Well, I liked OBS. OBS gives you so much joy at the end of the day, unlike internal medicine, where you're doing your job, but at the end of the day, you're not getting always successes in terms of treatment. There's those who come in end stage, but with obstetrics, so long as you follow that mother well, you counsel them well, you do their deliveries, there'll be those days you'll have good results, almost 99.9% of the time. So with us, it's so much fun. It's instant results. With the other departments, you've got to work really hard. You've got to ensure that this patient has the best outcome. But now with introduction of palliative care, it makes you have even more joy, even if it's an end stage client who's coming in other departments. At least you can give them counseling and talk to them and reassure them that it will be well. At the end of the day, whether death comes or not, you've prepared them adequately. So moving away from obstetrics into family medicine made a difference. Yes, I now appreciate all the 4 key areas in terms of medicine, and I really enjoy what I do, especially with the community advocacy and policy within the community. It's really a big difference.
Then Next up was to ask about what was, because you have quite a track record in your leadership positions, even currently. So I wanted to know, what was your first leadership position that you held? Did it begin in university? What ignited the passion to get into leadership?
I think, okay, I would start with all the way from high school. I, I laugh sometimes and say my leadership started with being the dining captain and ensuring everyone had their lunch meals, and those ones for top layer were well aligned and they got their meals right. So yes, dining captain. And then in college, when I was in Tanzania, I was the president of the students association, and it was we actually campaigned to have a students association because the university didn't have one, and I was the first president. And it was a long journey within the university. We tried our best to ensure that things changed and students' welfare was sorted out. Then now came back and joined the association, Kenya Medical Association. And from there now is where I took up other leadership roles within the association, from secretary of this division, Nakuru, then moved on to the assistant secretary general within the national level. And also alongside, I'm the vice chair of the Kenya Association of Family Physicians, and then moved to the leadership role outside in Africa because we had been engaging within our association, the World Association, and Africa had opportunities. You grow along with your mentors, and as your mentors mentor you, you take the next step and warm up the legs. Once they are warm, you can take the next step and move on as you move on. So I appreciate the guys who have mentored me all through.
I wanted to also get into the aspect of mentorship. So I'm not sure if we can get into it right now, but still on leadership. Is it something that you can say that comes naturally to you, or maybe it's it's a skill for you that you've had to hone, like maybe develop some self-confidence? How has it been for you?
Well, my mom was the person who would say, you've got to fight for your space and you've got to speak up when you are in any situation. And for you to get something, you've got to be at the front of the line. So growing up, yes, I was the short one in the school. And yes, I had to be at the front of the line. But I also had to fight for my space and speak up for what I knew was right. So part of it was how we were brought up to speak up for what you need, articulate it clearly, and be able to go with it. But I've also had great mentors and walked with people the journey of leadership in order to sharpen my skills and also grow with it. So I cannot say it was solely within me, but it's something that is also nurtured. There are some places you'll be afraid of taking leadership, but when you have a great mentor who tells you you've got it, move on, you're able to take courage and also move on into leadership.
Okay, now we can get into the mentorship aspect. You've clearly outlined that how important having a mentor has been for you throughout your whole leadership progression. So how did you approach your first mentor, ideally? How were you able to approach them, convince them for them to take you under for them to take you under their wing?
So part of it is following footsteps. It's not
Yes.
always that following footsteps. It's not always that you go knock onto the door and say, "Be my mentor." Sometimes followed along, and we've worked with for a while, and from there they take you into their wings. I've had colleagues here in Nakuru who we worked with. They were my bosses, but from there we now um, became mentor mentee. And there is also back mentoring, because as a mentee, there is what is changing in terms of the workspace, and there is what you can also mentor your you as a mentee mentor your mentor. So I would say I've had to follow my mentor step by step, find the right time to have dialogue with them, tell them your key areas where you would want mentorship engaged. I remember how we got introduced with Dr. Kitulu, who's the current, who was the past president, Kenya Medical Association. I'd just come back from Tanzania, and my brother told me, "I want to take you for a young doctor's um, CME," which they were receiving the graduates from Nairobi University and introducing them to Kenya Medical Women's Association. So when we went there, he told me, "I want you to talk to this lady, and I would like you to work with her and let her be your mentor." So I was so afraid. I'd never had to tell someone mentor me. So I walked the journey, and every meeting there was, and I would be there, and I would sit alongside with Dr. Kulu. And finally, anyway, we became friends, and she's mentored me all along through the journey. I can call her, tell her I have these challenges in various aspects, not just the healthcare aspect. So having a mentor takes your own initiative also to look at who you would want to walk the journey with and what you're aiming to do and walk the journey with them.
Yeah. I like how you stated that it first of all begins with you yourself. You need to take the initiative as an individual, and then identify ideally who is already there that you would like to follow within their footsteps.
Actually, I would like to add something. Sorry,
Oh,
Stacey, I
sure.
have to
No problem.
disrupt you on that.
No.
Remembering my mentorship journey, because when I started family medicine, I was a lone lady, and I didn't know anyone else who had done family medicine as a female. And I was looking for a mentor so hard, and I wanted the female perspective of family medicine. So what I did, I Googled to find out females in family medicine out there in the world. And apparently I came across um, one of my very good friends and great mentor currently. She's called Dr. Amanda. She was the past president of the World Organization for Family Physicians, but she had not yet been installed as president. She was a chair of one of the working groups within the World Organization that was dealing with women in family medicine. So I wrote to her, told her I'm looking for a mentor and I'm looking for women in family medicine. And she told me, join WONCA, come in, and we have a whole committee of women in family medicine, and we can walk with you the journey. And we've walked this journey. When she got installed as president, we were there, and she encouraged me to join the association and take up leadership. And that's how I've ended up within the WONCA organization. And so that's why I was saying you need to look and seek out for who you want to mentor you based on your needs.
Okay. So is there, what do you wish that you had known before getting into leadership?
What would I say? I wish I had known, I had taken charge of leadership as early as possible. I know my mom encouraged me early, but I wish I did take the steps early enough, all the way in primary. And I was very sporty. I loved my sports. I could not see the time to run around and manage human beings. So yes, I wish I had done it that early and taken up that leadership role way much earlier. But I'm happy. Dr. Amanda keeps saying there's time for everything, and it's good you take the opportunity to enjoy things when it's time for them to happen.
Yeah, I also wanted to say that. I mean, there's only so much in life that you can regret, and there's literally close to nothing that you can do about the past. So you just have to accept that everything happened for a reason. Yeah, basically to anyone. Then what are the values that you are committed to in life, in leadership, with family, and why those specific values?
One, integrity. Without integrity, then you lose everything that you work for. You have to have the highest standard of integrity in your work, ethics and standards. Set your own ethics and set your standards and stick to them. But don't set low standards for yourself and let the ethics not be shoddy ethics. They have to be the best that you can. Ensure you have these two values and value your family. We do have family films and all that, but always value your family. You will never ever go wrong when you have close family ties and close networks that you do invest in constantly. So those three things: relationships, ethics and standards, and integrity.
Um, what advice would you give to ladies who are maybe shying away from leadership, given that in most areas it is the men who take charge? So what advice would you give to someone who is a bit hesitant to get into leadership?
My advice to ladies: take up leadership. Change can never come if you're not at the table and if you're not the one preparing the meal. So you can sit back, complain that the meal tastes bad and it looks bad. But if you knew how to make it well, then why weren't you at the table preparing it and ensuring that it was served the way you wanted it? So in terms of leadership, be at the table, be the one preparing that meal. Don't end up being the meal itself, because at the end of the day, you will not be successful. But take charge, be there, speak up your mind, and engage the men. Tell them how you would want to be treated, because the same way this implies the same situation back at home, where you probably will have a spouse and you've not set out your standards, your way of living, then you'll be treated just as you have set out. So take up leadership. Leadership is not just at work, it's also within your community, within your home. Leadership is important.
Yeah. I like how you said that don't complain about the meal, and yet if you knew how to make it, then you can do better. So why not go out there, take charge, and be the change that you want to see. um Moving away from career, I'd like to know, okay, it still is career, how are you able to maintain a work-life balance, like balancing career plus also having enough time for also your family?
Um, yes, sometimes people say work-life balance is difficult, but yes, it can. You only need to see how you can integrate. There's nothing like balance, it's integration
Mm,
rather than balancing everything, because definitely at one point one will be heavier than the other one and you may drop. But how do you integrate work and life and ensure that even your family benefits from your work and life? Because at the end of the day, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of three, one campus student,
mm,
one who is now in high school, and the other one is about to finish a primary school. She's just joining her final year in primary. So ensuring that you don't lose out on them, plus your spouse, and then your own life, because it's not about just balancing family and work. There is also me. When do I get a break from all this? Because work is there, family is there, you're running up, and then there's a community that expects so much from you. When do I get to balance all this? So what I usually do is, yes, my work, my leadership roles take me away from home quite often. We travel a lot with my children and my husband. Uh, and what happens is when we travel, we plan and schedule. Yes, a conference is happening, or we have a meeting somewhere, but my husband, my children will go out hiking, or on a certain day, we'll hike, we'll go swimming, we'll do all these things. So we integrate whatever we are doing and balance everything. We are two spouses working in different towns, so
mm,
it's also not easy. So you
yeah.
divide your schedule. When do we visit this town? When do we visit that town?
Mm,
On top of it, also looking at the other aspects of ensuring that everyone gets rest, so that one spouse is not traveling all the time and the other one is settled down. So integrating your life within others. And then remember, we have parents who are very far from the towns we work and where we have settled. So
mm,
also in addition, when do we visit our parents? When do we engage with them? Because our children are growing, and one key person to my success was my grandmother. There are so many things she taught me which I still carry on in terms of life. So I really also want to ensure that my children see their grandparents, they engage, they visit each other. So we integrate all that as we work.
mm. um so you had brought out how you with your family you try to make time when you guys go hiking, you go swimming, and then you also have time that you make for career. So when do you have time for now, Joy? How do you carve out time in your schedule for now yourself, and what activities are there that you love to do to just bring you back to your center?
I have 2 holiday breaks within the year for myself,
Yeah.
and I travel. I take time off. I do something for me, or I engage also a friend who we will go out with. I've got a number of friends. My best mate is still my best friend. We went to college with her. She's been my best mate. We work. She's also a doctor, and we do one or two things together.
Mm,
So we've got a lot that we do other than just um, uh, the hiking with the family or the work meetings. So other than that, I have my 2 holidays that I do take. away from everyone else and take a
Yeah.
break. But with my family, they have grown now. When I tell them, even on a weekly basis, this weekend I'm taking a break and I'm relaxing in my corner. So
Yeah.
everyone gives you your own break, and they also do other things.
Mm. Well, that's the beauty of having growing children. You know, with toddlers around, you can't tell them, "Hey, this is mommy time." They'll be like, "No, mom, mom, mom."
Yeah.
So that's very hard. I also wanted to ask, thinking back 10 years ago, um, have you did you ideally make out of a plan? Did you have like a 10-year plan, 5-year plan of where you want to be? These are the goals I want to achieve. And are there also, with success, have there also been setbacks that you have experienced? Yeah.
So yes, I have my okay, way back, even all the way back to being young, you've got your plans, which you do your 10-year plans, your 5-year plans. I would say I've had them all through. They are the ones where you schedule even when you will get married. And my grandmother at one point told me, throw away that checklist for the handsome tall guy, dark, uh, put it aside and relax. And then the year that I intended to get married didn't work out. I ended up getting married at 32, not 28 as scheduled. So it came late with 5 years. Yes. But that didn't stop a lot of things because all the same, even after getting married, we've always had our annual plan with my husband. Then we also have our 5-year goals, our 10-year goals on what we intend to do. So these goals can sometimes not work out because either you get financial setbacks,
Yeah.
you get sicknesses and illnesses. Our parents are also growing old, and you end up finding you may have something that requires that you invest in it rather than what you had planned to invest in. So yes, those setbacks do come in.
How have you been able to now manage those setbacks? And ideally from also an emotional and mental perspective, rather the financial as well, but also ideally the emotional and mental aspect of it. How have you been able to overcome such setbacks?
Well, that's with emotional setbacks. I know, like 3 years back, I planned on how I'm coming back. I was working in Penn, and I had known how I am now coming back to closer home because my home is in Nakuru, and my children have always been at the center point. So after traveling a lot to Iten, I managed to get my posting to Nakuru. I mean to Baringo. So coming closer home, my first day of reporting, I rolled, my car rolled, crashed. I had no car. Good thing I got out of the car and said, I have no broken bone, no injuries. But you see, that really sets you back in so many things because financially, that's a car. Yes, it has insurance, but how do you get to work? How do you do things? Emotionally, you're also stressed out because lots of things have happened to you. But I've learned one thing as a career woman, as a mother, and also as someone in the community who's undertaking leadership. You need to have a psychologist, uh, have one,
Yeah.
talk to them because they are neutral. They are not your family. Most of the times, when you talk to family, the next thing the other family member will be knowing the other one, something you didn't want your own mother to know. You end up finding it has found its way down to the whole community, and everyone is worried and wondering what's happening. And probably all you wanted, as girls, yeah? There are those days you just want someone to talk to let out and just remove that stress and move on. Maybe, yes, you had an argument at work, you just want to chit chat, and get it off. So in leadership, you get overwhelmed and you just want someone to talk to, who's non-judgmental, who does not have so many issues to talk about, and who will just guide you through the processes and give you a way. So a psychologist has been there, someone who I talk to often, and then my mentors. I have a number of them I talk to on a daily basis, and my mother. As much as I might not share everything with her, there are those issues that I just call her and talk and talk and talk, and we both have our relief. And at the end of the day, we sort out a lot.
I really love how you've brought out about going to see a psychologist, because in the 21st century, there's a lot more discussions about mental health, and currently there's some psychologists that offer quite affordable rates. So guys, if you do feel overwhelmed, don't hold it in. Just go to a psychologist to get the necessary help and the professional help, and that's the most important. So yeah, as we're about to wind up, I'd like to just read a couple of questions that have come into the chat. So the first question is, is from Rachel. How did you navigate leadership with gender and cultural biases existing?
Yes, a big challenge, but one that you should not carry. There is no day men wake up thinking about gender and culture, and I also don't wake up thinking about my gender, my culture, but seek to integrate yourself within the communities where you work, or where you are, where you're seeking leadership of. You a lot was happening, and which was basically based on gender issues and culture issues. But we sought the cultural leaders and sat down with them. We now have monthly meetings with the cultural leaders, and they've accepted the leadership role that I play as a healthcare worker, because leadership is not just about being elected somewhere. Even your position as a pharmacist is leadership, because you will be taking care of the health of very many people. Taking care of the health of very many people, you need to be considerate about their cultural practices, their religion. So we have religious leaders within that committee that we meet monthly. We have the cultural leaders, the leaders from those communities within the region. We have our magistrates within the region. We have the police, and we sit down and talk about quite a number of issues. You share with them and let them take them to the community. And that way they come to accept you. But at the end of the day, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to your issues within the community, please don't put that uniform of I am female and they are male, or I am Kikuyu and they are another tribe.
Yeah.
It doesn't help anyone. It's us who propagate those leadership and cultural biases based on how we even carry ourselves. I work and tell everyone, my name is Mugambi, but I am Dr. So and so, and I'm here to serve you, because Tibet is in maybe serving my people. So at the end of the day, we have that respect of each other.
Mm.
But at the
Um,
end of the day, Stacey, let everyone respect
mm,
culture and religion of areas where you're working.
yeah. So guys, remember, respect. Wherever you're going to land, be sure to respect religion and culture. Also just to avoid conflict. So guys, feel free to send in any questions that you may have. If you have a question, also feel free to unmute yourself. It's fine, you're welcome. So there's another question from Lillian. How has the leadership position directly impacted your career? Or the leadership positions, sorry.
Okay, taking up leadership opens many doors for you, and it keeps you at the front of whatever may be coming up. So taking up leadership is really important. It has made a big difference in my career. It has opened other doors. Taking up this leadership within the country opened doors for international positions and international recognition. So take up leadership. Don't be at the back end.
So I hope that answered. It's opened up many doors and avenues for her. Then there's also another question. Is your husband also a medic? Because this would also play a part in understanding and accommodating a hectic life. No.
My husband is not a medic. He is an engineer. He's very understanding. My greatest support, I tell you, comes from my husband. He's the person who I'll tell, okay, I have decided I'm not taking up it. He's like, no, please take up that, because we don't want you telling us next year that you wish you had taken this up and you had done this. And this goes out to the men in this webinar. Please ensure you support your women. Let them do something, because if they don't do what they are doing, where will they take all that energy? And that's what my husband says. Yes, he's very supportive. He's an engineer. He's always available. He cared for my kids even when they were really small. When I was doing my master's, I got my last born. She's called the family medicine baby. And family medicine baby got sick once when I was doing my first year exam. And she had to be on IV therapy, and my husband was working in Garissa. He moved with the children and lived and took her with a branula every day to the hospital to get her IV meds. And at the end of the day, she was well, and I finished my exams. But I could have deferred, but he felt, no, don't defer. I am there.
I think that's also very important, as in for all the men listening, you supporting your future lady or even your sister does not take away the shine from you. If anything, the teamwork brings up, it's more cohesive and it brings out a much better product. So don't feel shy to support your lady, because as Doc has said, where will your lady take all that energy to if it's not to what she originally wanted to? Okay, guys. So is there anyone else who has a question, who would like to unmute themselves? Guys, I'll give you like 15 seconds if there's anyone who feels like they have an important question or an important issue we haven't discussed. Kindly feel free to bring it up. Okay. So seems like there's no one else. Seems like we have covered everything that people would have wanted, and people are satisfied, which is also really great. I'd just like to ask for what would be your final parting shot of this whole session. Yeah.
My parting shot is, ladies, take up leadership. ensure you have networks. Which are your networks? For the gentlemen here, you have great opportunities, and the great opportunities come with supporting a lady in your life, be it a colleague, be it your sisters, be it your mom. Support them, ensure that they are better than they were when they came into your life. And that way, you know you have secured the future and ensured that this partnership grows. And thank you very much, Stacy. Thank you very much, David, for inviting me tonight. It's my great pleasure. And anyone else is welcome. I am available for mentorship for anyone else who's in need.
Guys, as you've heard, she's open for mentorship, and it's a topic that she is passionate about, and she's clearly stressed how much of a benefit mentorship has played in her life. So if you feel, if you would like the opportunity to be mentored, feel free to contact her or contact us, and then we'll get you link both of you guys up. So I'd like to end the session. I'd like to really thank the audience. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in tonight for the third edition of the Ryculture Ladies Talk, which is held every 2 weeks on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Because I know last time people had issues of they didn't know the time, they didn't know the day. So now, guys, we're telling you every Thursday at 7 p.m. we're going to be having the Ryculture Ladies Talk with a different guest every session, with the goal of just mentoring young ladies and bringing out the leadership in you, ideally. So yes, guys, thanks so much. Seeing messages of people who are very thankful they've enjoyed tonight's session. So yeah. Guys, you may feel free. Thank you. I forgot. Thank you so much, Doc, for taking the time, for talking to us, for mentoring us. We really do appreciate it so much. There's still a lot more thank you messages. On behalf of the audience, we are very grateful. Yes.
Thank you very much,